My name is Vishal Singh. I am product lead for data products at Starburst. Today, we'll be talking about how you can easily create and curate data from different sources and convert them into data products. Before I actually go talk about data products, I also want to use this time to talk about one of the really recent product which we have released, which is Galaxy. So I'm going to do a quick demo into Starburst Galaxy, then talk around how easy it is to create data products using Starburst. So signing up for Galaxy is really straightforward. So what is Galaxy? Galaxy is a SaaS platform where you can connect your data sets across different sources, and it's completely serverless, but still you have you can create clusters, and you can you can actually connect data set to the clusters and write queries to your data sets no matter where it exists. So here I'm going to hit start free, ask for some basic information. I'm going to add my email address, create an account. It sends me a code to my email. I will look for a code on my email. Give me a second. Should be, the internet is a little finicky here. While am I getting the code? I do have an account up and running for the Galaxy, which is here. Once you sign up in the Galaxy, why Galaxy is really powerful to connect to your data sources. If you look at the number of catalogs I have built in the Galaxy is Azure, MySQL, Azure Postgres, also Google or MySQL. I also have a catalog from AWS. So Galaxy from get-go is multi-cloud, and you can connect to the data sources not in single cloud, but you can connect your data sets across all different clouds. Once the data set are configured, you go create clusters. And clusters are also being created into the cloud where you're connecting the data set. So you may want to create a cluster in AWS to query the data into AWS. And you can actually create a cluster in GCP and Azure and maintain all the multi-cloud clusters in single place. So you don't have to go to the AWS, Azure, or GCP to actually get insights in your data sets. You're getting insights right into single platform, which is Starburst Galaxy. And once all my clusters are set up, you can see this GCP cluster, which is suspended at the moment, AWS cluster, which is running, and Azure cluster, which is also suspended. One thing we have done in Galaxy is that you pay for how much clusters you're running and when the queries are running. But when the queries are not running, the clusters goes automatically in the suspended mode. So you're not paying if no queries are being written against a data set or data source. So as I expand this cluster, Azure East, I can go back to the cluster screen, and you can see it's automatically started. And this doesn't have to be in the Galaxy itself. The moment you write a query into your Tableau, Power BI, or any dashboard, it automatically will detect, the cluster will automatically detect a query has been written and is been executed, and cluster will come into starting mode. As you can see, cluster is now in running mode. So within few seconds, the cluster is already running into Azure, and I can write queries against it. So let's go back to the query history, query editor, and I can load Azure East. I can look at a different data source into Azure. I can also look in data into AWS. But not just that, I can even write queries against Lakehouse, run the query here, and get the results right there. Or if I want to join data between RDS and S3, I can do that too, right here, and run the data between RDS server and S3. So that is on our roadmap to run the queries between cloud. We cannot do that in the Galaxy, but the part of my demo on the data products, we can run the query across cloud. And that I'll be showing that too, which is on the enterprise solution, does allow you to run queries across different cloud. This one? So this is the name of the data set or the schema which has been created. So it's just the way the syntax work is that you can see the Postgres is the name of the data source, which contain different table, different schemas, and one of the schema is public, and the customer is a table under that schema. So you're joining those data sets or tables as if they are different tables, even though they are different data sources. Now, let's move, as I talked about Galaxy, and let's see if I got my code to. Yes, I got my code. I said internet a little slow here. So 290.794. I can create an account. Let's call this data console. And that's it. Now you're in Galaxy. You can, I'm going to use some suggestions, create a password. And you're in Galaxy. You can play with the sample data set. There's a free tier in Galaxy, which allows, which you never have to pay. It's a demo cluster. You can play with it, understand, and learn Galaxy without even paying Starburst a single penny. You can just play with the demo clusters. And you also get 180 free credits to experiment with our bigger clusters, with extra large and large clusters, where you can write bigger queries to understand how Galaxy will be performant in your organization. And that's all it takes for the Galaxy for up and running, and then you can connect to your data into data lake and write queries against it. But the main topic of this workshop was not Galaxy. I just want to take an opportunity to talk about Galaxy. The main topic of this workshop is data products. Before I talk data products, I want to talk around the 3 different personas and their roles in the organization and how they work with the data and how they're using Trino, or Starburst Trino, to share the data within the organization, within the domain itself. I'm looking at Aaron the admin, who's the Katie is a data analyst in the marketing department. And John is external vendor coming from outside in to work with Katie in her organization. They are all logged in through the same cluster, and they have the same endpoint. But their views are very different. If you look at the Aaron's view, Aaron is looking through all his data sets and all his data sources, no matter where it exists. And I'm going to stress on it, no matter where it exists. Aaron is looking through data into AWS, CosmoDB, Delta, which is on Azure, Snowflake, MySQL, Kafka, Iceberg. Aaron has views into all his data sources, all his data set across every cloud and on-prem in a single view. So Aaron does not have to go figure out where is the data into S3, on Azure, on AWS, where is the object storage data into Azure, or where is the data for my Google. You can build this view right here for Aaron. Even Aaron can join data across Snowflake and Hive on demand. So there are some data sets exist in Snowflake, some on the lake, and I want to join those sets. How do I do that? Aaron is in unique position using Starburst Trino. And as I run this query, I got the results here. And these data sets are coming from 2 different places, warehouse and lake. Let's look at the Katie's view. Katie has no access to Snowflake. Katie has no idea where data exists. Katie does not even care where data exists. Katie is data analyst. She works in the marketing department, and she cares about getting access to the data. She works day by day. Katie has access to two different products, finance product and marketing product, which she works on in her current role. Katie had reached out to Aaron to get information around orders because that is one of the data sets missing from the finance product she's working on. Aaron knows that those data sets exist in Snowflake and Lake. Aaron and I will have to either move the data into a warehouse or move the data to a lake in order to give Katie access to that data set. But using Starburst Trino, Aaron does not have to do that. Aaron can share the data as one of the semantic view. This could be either view or a materialized view from the query which I just ran. And if I go back, look into the Katie's view, I have access to order information. Katie can write query against order information and start working with her data sets within few seconds of asking Aaron, can I get the access to the data set? Aaron does not have to move the data, Aaron does not have to copy the data, just created the view across two different sources. And this could be two different clouds. This could be on-prem and a cloud. One of our customers are combining the data between on-prem and cloud to gain insight, to give insight to their data consumers, where they can get insight into legacy data and the data which exists in cloud itself. But let's look at the John's view. If I look at the John's view, John does not have access to finance product. John just have access to marketing product. John may also need access to order information. Katie is not an admin. It's not a data admin. Katie is a data consumer. How can she actually give access to John to a data set because she does not have control over data governance tool or the access control? Katie does know that John has access to marketing product. So Katie can share the data, the order information data, into the marketing information data too. Run this query. End results came out to be true here. I have order information here. John was also able to get the access to order information. One thing happened for John, you'll see the phone number is masked for John, while it was not for Katie. So even though Katie was able to share the data with John, some PII information data was not shared. Because using Starburst, you can define the policies into external vendors, what they will and can see before even the data is created. So as Katie was able to share the data, John got access to data within the governance policies created by the governance team, and the data set respected those policies. Now we are taking this concept, this is Trino. So Trino already has this. We are taking this concept and creating a more packaged way of sharing, creating, and curating data set so that it can be easily shared and discovered within the context of a domain or the department one is working on. So let's go to the Katie's view and click on data products. Katie can look into all the data products across all the organization, or even the filtered data products by one of the many organizations she is working on. I can look at data product and sales. I can look at data product sales and marketing. Thus, Katie has been tasked to work on the customer segmentation information of the data. How will Katie find the data set? As I type, it goes through all the metadata and the column information, and search goes to finding the data set or data product which Katie is looking for. I click here, and I can see that this data set contains customer segmentation and product type information, have more description, and has 2 data set part of it. It belongs to engineering domain, and there are 2 data product owners, Matt and Vishal, and has some tags on it and also some links which could be internal documentation where one can go read and look into what this data product serve. I can expand customer segmentation information and hit preview. All the metadata which you see on the data products page is searchable. So more metadata is input, the better it is for data consumer, Katie, or anyone to come in and find the data product or data set they are looking for. I expanded this. You can see the credit card number is masked for the Katie. I can look at all the information. Let's go back to the John's view. Look at the same data product, customer segmentation and information, and hit preview. Credit card number is still masked for John because John is still vendor. But you may also notice the estimated income is null, so John cannot see the estimated income while Katie can. So even the same data product has 2 different views based on 2 different users and 2 different domains they are working on. Katie can see all the customer segment, which is gold, platinum, silver. But if I look at the John's view, John just see the silver customer segment, because John's task is to just work on the silver segment of the customers. It's the same data, but the different views for the different use cases and different users in a different department. This data set could either be a view, which I just showed, or it could be a materialized view, where you can see when was the data refreshed and when was the next refresh coming in. Why materialized view? Because your data could be on Google BigQuery, on Snowflake, and on S3. But you are running a cluster on S3, then you can materialize your data set close to the cluster and it have incremental update. What that allows you that even though customers are hitting the data set across 3 cloud, they are hitting the local cache, which provides better network latency, and the customer does not have to pay for data transfer costs for every query which is executed against that data set. Now, let's go back and take the query which we just used and create that into the data product. I hit, let's call this order information. I can choose one of the many catalogs to publish this data product. At the moment, these are Hive catalog. In the future, we'll have support for Delta and Iceberg too. So you can create a data product within those catalogs. You'll see the schema name was automatically generated. Why was schema name automatically generated and no choice for it? The reason behind generating the schema name is enable data consumers to use the data products in the downstream tools. What I mean by downstream tools, if I look in Tableau, when Katie looks in the Tableau, Katie looks at all the data products and has the one-to-one mapping into what Katie saw in Starburst. Here, the customer information, segmentation information product, credit card default product. So the schema name is generated by the name you give it to data product, which is useful for data consumers to understand which data product they're consuming in the tool of their choice, which could be Tableau, Power BI, Looker, ThoughtSpot, or any other tools. I'm going to assign this to marketing domain. I don't know where this should exist, but I'm going to actually, for now, assign this to marketing domain. Hit some summary. Summary is what you see on the page when you land on the tile. So, and description could be a long description for data consumers or anybody to come and understand what this purpose this data product serve. Now I'm going to add the data set. Here, let's call this also order information. Description, you can add even description on the data set too. More metadata, as I keep saying, will be helpful for the discovery of the data set and the data product, because all these texts are searchable. I can choose it to be either a view or a materialized view. In materialized view, you have an option how often that you want data to be refreshed. Or you can create a view which data will always be recent based on where it is coming from. Add show columns and add description. The column name and data type was automatically populated based on the data sources and the query you have written. And you can add column description for understand what these columns mean, because sometimes the column description, sometimes the column name could be very cryptic. So it could be 1, 2, 3, X, Y, Z, but you can have a better column description. And I can preview the data, it's here. I can add another data set if I want to. It's going to go through the same flow. Or I can save this as a draft if I do not know what else I need to do. So this, because creating data product is not a one-time process, it requires understanding what needs to be done. So you can save the data product as a draft, come back, re-edit it, keep working on it, and publish it when you're ready to publish that data product. Let's add some product owners. I'm going to add a team next to it. You can add as many product owner possible for the sheer reason because they are not one product owner or manager managing a data product, they are multiple. So you can have multiple product manager or owners for that data product. And define some tags. I add, let's say, sales tags. Can also add a new tag which does not exist here. Or use one of the existing tags. And add links. These links are useful for data consumer to not only see what the data product description and summary has, but to read the processes around how this was created, how you can get even access to this data product, and who owns it and what is the life cycle around it. It could be internal documentation, and you can attach those documentation right here. say URL, and now the data product is ready to be published. There's one data set here. And I have published this data product. But once I publish this data product, our users may not know what is the first few set of useful queries I should be writing against this data product. And this is why we have also added the usage examples, where you can have some basic queries which would be useful for data consumers to understand what this data product returns. In order to show that, let me go back to the customer segmentation here. And I have seen some use examples here. High-value customers having diamond status and estimated income of 200K. You can add as many use examples in the data product. This will allow your data consumers to come in and get up and running a lot faster than trying to figure out what kind of queries should I even be writing against this data product. You can preview right from here. As you know, Katie does not have access to credit card number, so it's still masked for her. But we didn't stop just creating a data product. What else would Aaron wants to do? Aaron will also like to understand what kind of uses people are writing queries and how the data product is being used in my organization. Aaron can take advantage of our query history and take a look into all the queries which has been executed against a data product customer segmentation from January 1st of this year. I can even look at the trend of how queries were executed. And you may notice that this data product was a lot popular in the February, but the popularity has decreasing because number of queries being executed on this data product is going down in the month of March. You can also see which are the users who are writing CPU extensive queries against this data product, and which are the users who are just writing most number of queries. You can gather, so data product is not just about sharing the data, but also understanding the metrics and uses and the trend of the data set in your organization. And Aaron can get that data right using our query history information in Starburst. Aaron can also look into which are the different tools being used to write queries against this data product. You can say inside is the query editor, the JDBC, because I've been using Tableau, which could be named as Tableau, but it's like right now it comes with your JDBC driver, or data product. Most of the queries are being run against using preview or whatnot in the data product. This is why the data product is number one, where the queries are being executed for that data product. But let's go into the Katie's view one more time. Here, as you saw, that I can look into data product, I can create the data product, but Katie can even federate across data product. So now, not only you're federating across different sources or from cloud, from data sources, but Katie can here look into all the different data products and write queries against that. Katie has also asked to Aaron, can I have Aaron has published the order information as a part of a new data product, but can you actually have order information as a part of the customer segmentation because that's where it belongs? Aaron, and one thing I'd like to show, as you can see that the customer segmentation has two tables. You can look at both tables here, but let's add one more data set into customer segmentation information. We can edit it. Yes. So these are like, you see this data set, which I was showing a customer segmentation, has two different data sets into it. But one of the first query which has is actually federated across Hive, MySQL, and Postgres. But for data consumer, they don't care. They are looking at data product, and you're looking at data set. Like, this is my order information. Totally. Totally. Yep. In fact, here it's the same query as materialized view, which I have added. And let's add this one. Let's add one more data set, which is order information, which I just created a new data product for it. I'm going to skip the column description for now. Save and continue. And as you added the new data set, it just comes in what changes you have made. And now you can publish those changes. But why I'm showing this process? Because if I go back and look into Tableau, let me refresh it. You'll see order information in Tableau itself too. So once somebody has subscribed to a data product and using a data product into one of the downstream tools like Tableau or Power BI, a change into data set or data product will not just be reflected in Starburst, but will be reflected in all the downstream tools is being used by. So here, it used to be only just two tables, but now the third table, order information, just popped up. Now, Katie can actually have the order information as a part of the customer segmentation and has some data from the nations. And these are two different data products. She can visualize in our query editor and even write a query. Let me actually walk by behind this and write a completely new query. I have no idea why this is doing this. Yeah, this is. I have no idea why saying commute. It just like doesn't even. I'll let this one go. This is. That's, that is the weirdest thing ever. I have no idea why even saying Immuta is not even anywhere in Immuta itself. So let me actually delete this and then create. um, yeah, let's. So, but the point is that you can use two different data products and combine to come up with a completely new insight, and you can then create a data product out of that query. So now what you're doing, you're taking a data product from marketing department, and you're taking a data product from the sales department, and combining and coming up the whole new data product, which can be consumed again. So instead of sharing the raw data set or data sets are into Snowflake or Hive or whatnot, you are now sharing the business context around the business insights. And people are combining and federating across those insights to create a completely new insight that can be consumed. But how does this all fit in with the domain concept, which I completely skipped for a second? Let's look into our domains. Here, Aaron can create multiple domains, which is CRM, engineering, marketing, other domains, and can also assign admin for those domains. So if I look into Katie's view, Katie does have access to all the domain and can see all the data products into those domain. But if I switch a role for Katie to be sales and eng domain, and Katie just have access to only those domains, then Katie does not see data products coming out of the other domain. Katie only see the data products out of the domains which she has been assigned to. I can look into data product in sales domain. I can even edit it. Or I can look in the data product marketing domain. And you see Katie cannot edit it. So Katie is the admin for sales and the eng domain. But Katie is the consumer of data products coming from the marketing domain. And this all can be done really seamlessly within Starburst. You can even give access to just one data product to an external vendor. So when they log in, they don't even see all the data products across all the domains, just see the data product which they have access to. Or in the case of John, John can look for a sales data product, which is sales Q4 product, and will want to hit preview, but John get access denied looking at the data for the sales product. Why? Because there are issues in the organization when people do not know if the data exists. Using data product, you can give access to metadata itself, but not give access to data itself. So John can come in and look for that data does exist in my organization, but I cannot access it. In that case, John can reach out to data product owner for asking for access to that data product. In future, we'll also be adding a request access button right here where John can actually hit request access and the workflow of giving access exists within Starburst itself. Any questions? No, go ahead. Yeah. So no, so we use their compute. So the way it works is that you run with a Snowflake, and and if you want to access against Snowflake and let's call it Delta. And so we go through the Snowflake compute, fetch the data which the query has asked. So what we do is like we have a coordinator and we have different workers. Coordinator is smart enough to break the query down and push down the queries which has been asked for the Snowflake data. And when those data comes out of Snowflake. And then we take a data out of Delta and combine those data within our Trino cluster, and the results get out to the user who has asked who have ran the query. And Snowflake, yes. So it will not be, but you can create materialized views where instead of if somebody is running the same data set from Snowflake again and again, then you can cache the data into object storage in Starburst or in your location. And then even though there will be, people may see that they are writing queries against Snowflake, but those are actually coming against the cache you have created using Starburst. So these policies can be, a really good question. So I have used Ranger to define those policies. So we work with Ranger, Immuta, Prevacera, all the governance tool. But we also have our own native access policies. So just in case if you do not want to use Ranger, if you do not want to use Immuta, and if you want to use the policies right, you can use the privileges and assign the policies right in Starburst 2. In fact, in my demo, I'm using both our native access control and Ranger. So you can not only just use one policy control, you can use multiple policy control using Starburst. Yep. Yep. Totally, yes. Yep. Yep. So there are two ways. One is the Starburst needs to have access to your table between Snowflake and Delta. So whatever Starburst has access, that Starburst get to see. But then you can, instead of, for example, if you want to define and manage your policies in Databricks or into Snowflake or into Delta or whatnot, then you will have to go manage into 10 different places. Because of Starburst, you can bring all the data here in Starburst and then manage the policies based on tables and not the warehouse itself or the lake itself. You can say like this user have access to this table in the warehouse, this table into lake, and you're managing a single point of access going in the Starburst itself. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Because otherwise you'll end up, if you have, let's say, Elasticsearch, then you're maintaining it there. If you have SQL, then you're maintaining it there. So instead of managing policies into 10 different places, it's easier to manage the policy in one place, because if you remove something, you know that you're removing the person from all the different sources, not just one source. Yep. Tom, do you know? Yeah. This is why I'm glad Tom is in the call. I mean, that question would have been. But so as I'm talking to Les, actually walk through, I had some slides, but I'm going to skip all the slides. I'm going to go directly into what you saw and what we'll be building as coming. Everything you saw on the data product is also can be done by our using API, which is going to be coming soon. Our whole data product is a JSON blurb. So you may create your data product using your CI/CD pipeline, where you actually keep the JSON blurb into, let's say, GitHub, and you may manage and change the metadata there. And as it has been changed, you push those using APIs within Starburst. So you don't have to create data products using our UI. I mean, even though we are going to be adding more and more UI functionality, but those functionality will also exist using our APIs too. Then one of the key things we are thinking about is the versioning of data product itself. Because what someone may do is like drop a column, change a column type, remove a table. In that case, one should be easily able to have breaking changes in data product and data set, but you would not want your data consumer waking up in the morning and all their dashboards are broken because there's a breaking change was introduced in the data product. So we'll keep versions of all the data set in the data product, and we have metrics information where you can see how many people are still using the older version and how many folks have migrated to the newer version. And based on that, they can either retire the older version or have a time retirement on when the older version should stop working. So Starburst, good. So the one which I started the demo with, the Galaxy, is the completely SaaS, which works, in our plane. But the demo which I'm giving you data products is the you install it yourself. So it's basically you have a web URL and everything, but you install it on your side on your infrastructure. In AWS or Azure GCP, but yes, in AWS too. Yep. Totally, yes. So we don't store data even on our SaaS. It's just a compute is there, but data will always be owned by you. So our SaaS is like we own the compute because you can actually manage the compute across multiple cloud in one single place. But you can connect to the data across your lake either in GCP or Azure or AWS. So the cache service when I was talking about in the Starburst Enterprise, it runs on your environment. So it's just like you can actually cache it, and you're getting cache on your account. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, you see, even the caching, so the two parts to the question. Caching in Galaxy is not there yet, so when it comes out, we'll figure out like where you want to store it on our side or on your side. But again, we are targeting your lake, so we can still cache on your lake. But this is something we are still trying to figure out where the roadmap will go. So I don't have an exact answer on the SaaS side, but the enterprise side, everything is on your side. Totally. Totally. Yes. Totally. Yes. So at the moment, you have to add the description again, but we have got that request from our customers that this should follow up. So there is. Yes. Totally. We do have integration with DBT, but again, as the data products that what we showed you is our V1 version into creating the whole the data product from the data source to the curated version. And in future, we'll be working on more better DBT integration and Airflow integration of creating the data product. Totally. Totally. Totally, yeah. So, I mean, there has to be some integration with DBT and data products. What the integration will look like, it's hard to say right now, but I totally see. And again, you're not the first person asking for it, but I totally see the integration coming in the future. But I was saying, like, there are a couple of things we're working on, like audit trail. Like, we want to know what folks have done and audited. We're going to be adding comment section into the data products when people can come in, not just rate the data product, but be commented. lineage, because you want to know which data products was created from which data product and what raw data sets were used. So we'll have the visual lineage of that data set and data products in the data product tab too. Yes. So, so there's no, I mean, that's an organizational thing, but see, there's no direct solution, but that's why we are adding comments and stuff. We are also going to be adding like one of the functionality like Jira has, where you can say like tag that this data product relates to other data product. So if let's say somebody found, so because it becomes an open-ended community, and somebody's like this data product and other data product is almost the same, then people can relate and link those data products, saying these are almost the same or they're duplicates of it. So that's one way to approach it, but it's really sometimes as I said, democratization and open-end system could be good and bad because, and that's why we are adding the certification flow, where you can certify and prove the data products which folks will see. So even though you may allow like everyone can create it, but you can also have a domain where you can say only certified data products will go in that domain, and when people come into that domain, they get to see nothing but the certified data product. And in the data product itself, let me go back here, and if I want to, for example, move this order information data product in just different domain, I can easily assign this after it's certified to sales domain, and now the data product is in sales domain. So we will be adding where the data products goes into different domain, are certified for what role and for what use. So you can create processes using domain, when one could be like a complete playground, and one could be just for the production. It's a long-term goal we want to have, but and not at the moment. But yes, we will probably have some kind of relationship, which is the question was asked. Like yeah. Like that it's duplicate or related or whatnot. I mean, the quick one to do is the lineage. So if there are data products related to, let's say, the same data source, you can click it and you can see. Yep. Totally. Yes. Yeah. Totally. I mean, you're spot on. That's the direction we definitely want to go. But again, it's like one step at a time. But totally spot on, because there, especially when in the bigger organization, there are different silos, and then you are probably search the data product, but you may not know that some people who are using this, they're writing the data query against this data product. They may also be writing queries against the different data product, different domain. The point, the way if you show the query history, we are recording all the data in our system. So we have all the queries. We know how the queries are written. It's a matter of time reaching to the point and creating that feature. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and I agree with that organizational, so I was just wondering.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just for instance, you guys have like data.
Yeah.
Create this massive semantic layer. I have a wiki page somewhere, or I'm going to go buy a data catalog. That's great.
Yeah.
But we're trying to, we already have the data, we already have access to all these things. Let's create our own.
Sure.
Try to do it a little bit different, easier, based upon that.
I mean, one thing we are going to be adding is that tags not just on the data product, but the tags on the data set level too, and the columns. So you can actually even have like these columns are PII columns, these columns are other columns, and so things like that, which is on our roadmap to be added. But there are some organizational stuff when it comes to data mesh and thing. What we have from all the customers we have chatted and talked, more open system is better than more closed, especially as data is growing. Because one of our customers literally have bought the same data set into two different business units, bought the exactly same data set because they didn't know that existed. So they end up paying for the same data set twice. And we want to eliminate that because you don't have to keep buying. And because as the organization becomes complex and big, they are doing the same work again and again. So.
We all started doing no SQL and no modeling, and then people are educated like, how would we go do more modeling?
People are still desperate for a place to go search for data, which is funny, that was a big job.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it just came along, and you be on top of that, and then all of a sudden, whoa, shit, come out, yeah.
Again, there are some, the data sheets on your table, and also the how you can find assign for the Galaxy. So there's a QR code on your desk too. I'll play with Galaxy too. There's a lot of new stuff coming in Galaxy too. There's a timeline for data products to actually also go into Galaxy, where you can actually creating the data products, not just, not yet, no. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And then that will, yeah. I mean, for us, it's just like we don't, as I said, like one of the challenges we have seen is like people have use cases why one want to use warehouse or Snowflake or a lake or iceberg or whatnot. I mean, every technology has its use case and why this exists. And all we are trying to do is like let our customers have an optionality of what they want to use for what tasks they're running. And we're just creating the insight for all your data sets, data sources in single place. No, answer SQL.
So then we did a challenge with Oracle and Teradata that had all the extension stuff. And we'll say we can't support every single thing. We've got some stuff to support some of that stuff. And then we get into like, we need to support all. It's like, we're gonna stick with ANSI SQL, you know, that covers almost everything.
Yeah.
But that was the problem with like high views. Like everybody around me, like, well, we need to support high views, high isn't ANSI SQL. And so we'll support it, but it's ANSI. I just should have known. We should have been ANSI SQL, and now we need to, and then customers like, well, you have to support it. Like, so then we created this thing like, we do conversions and all sorts of other stuff. Oh, it's a nightmare. So,
Tom, you're being recorded.
that was great. But it just, when you get away from like the standard, then all of a sudden, I'm sure you're working on that.
No, I'm just joking. No, but yeah, it's this is why like we complement your technology. We don't compete with them, and then that's our motto from day one. Like you choose what's right for you, and then we have never also found where someone was successfully able to use just one thing and move everything in one thing. And even like Lake 2, you move to Lake, have in European region, you have in US region, you have like now you have distributed lake. And how do you combine the data across that? So it's hard to actually just move the data into just single region, single place. So, and that's where Starburst comes in. I hope it was useful one. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.